The Capitol was silent, not the silence of respect, but the kind that feels heavy, suffocating, like the air itself is warning that something is deeply wrong. Lawmakers sat frozen, reporters leaned forward, and every camera in the room captured the tension that was about to split America in two. It began with Jasmine Crockett. She wasn't yelling, she wasn't performing, she was deliberate. Every word was chosen like a surgeon with a scalpel. She placed a folder on the table and let the silence linger. Then, with the weight of the entire room pressing down, she spoke. If silence today becomes acceptable, then tomorrow this chamber will not be needed, because truth will already be gone. The room didn't move. It wasn't just a hearing anymore. It was a mirror. Everyone inside had to decide in that moment whether they were protectors of truth or participants in its burial. And outside, the silence was broken. Protesters were already gathering, chanting words that would soon shake the nation. Truth cannot be buried. That chant, faint at first, began to echo through the marble walls. It collided with Crockett's warning and Barack Obama's words from the night before. When free speech becomes dangerous, the nation is already in danger. Three different tones, grave, factual, defiant, colliding into one unstoppable storm. Then came Donald Trump. At a rally streamed live that same night, he smirked into the microphone and mocked it all. Obama is fear-mongering again, he sneered. And that congresswoman, what's her name, Jasmine, she waves papers like she's in a bad movie. The crowd laughed. But outside his rally, the laughter collided with something much louder, the chant, "Truth cannot be buried." And here is the hook. Which one sounds like leadership to you, serious warnings, documented truth, or cheap mockery? Comment below, leadership or mockery. What Trump didn't realize was that his mockery didn't kill the moment, it ignited it. His smirk became a symbol, replayed side by side with Obama's grave warning and Crockett's evidence. Social media captioned it perfectly in 3 words, truth, proof, mockery, and that edit went viral. By the next morning, the plaza outside the Capitol was filled. Teachers, veterans, parents, retirees, ordinary people who weren't chanting for politics, but for survival of truth itself. A retired teacher stood on a crate, voice trembling. "I taught my students that words matter, that speaking up matters, and now a man is dead because warnings were ignored. If we stay silent, we teach our children that silence is safer than truth. I will not accept that." Her words spread online within minutes. Comments poured in, "Teacher, speak truth. We refuse silence." A mother held up a handwritten sign, "My son asked me if it's safe to tell the truth in America. I didn't know what to answer." A veteran lifted his grandson on his shoulders and shouted, "I fought for freedom abroad, but freedom means nothing if you can't speak truth at home." These weren't politicians. These weren't speeches. These were raw truths the government could not bury. And inside the chamber, Crockett was just getting started. She laid out the documents like stepping stones in a timeline. September 7th, a warning email sent, ignored. September 8th, metadata altered, timestamps changed. September 9th, an internal memo claimed no credible threat. September 10th, Charlie Kirk killed. The sequence was undeniable. Silence wasn't passive, it was deliberate. And then came the page that changed everything. A confidential memo, dated 2 days before the Utah tragedy, signed by a senior advisor. Crockett read it aloud. Recommendation, reduce security presence. Optics of heavy security unnecessary. Risk acceptable. The room gasped. Reporters typed furiously. Think about those words, risk acceptable. A man's life weighed against optics. That was not incompetence, that was intent. The chamber froze. Outside, the crowd roared. Across America, hashtags erupted, risk acceptable and truth cannot be buried. Barack Obama released a short, heavy statement. The normalization of silence is the greatest threat to democracy. Truth can be delayed. It cannot be erased. By now, the story wasn't just about Charlie Kirk. It wasn't just about Crockett or Obama or Trump. It was about all of us, about whether silence in the face of truth becomes normal. Crockett closed her folder and delivered the final blow. Warnings were ignored. Records were altered. A memo shows risk was acceptable. If this body does nothing, then silence is no longer accident, it is consent, and history will record it that way. No one in the room spoke. The silence was absolute, but outside, thousands of voices shook the city in unison. Truth cannot be buried, not the first, not the last, never again. And now the question isn't just for Congress, it's for you. When you see truth mocked, warnings ignored, lives treated as acceptable risks, will you be silent or will you speak? Comment below with these 4 words if you agree. I will not be silent. because history isn't written by silence. It's written by voices that refuse to disappear, and tonight, your voice could be one of them.